Man
It weren't
spent,
even
a man
cool.
spent like, we're gonna forget what you spent, but a man bust down his car keys.
Yeah.
Like, what's going through your head when you done that one, bro? Alright, I'll give you an example. So obviously I've watched. I want to hear everything. I just out of respect, I just want to know what you want to skip.
Nah, fuck it.
But what I will say, oh no, this has been moving around the place. I hope that's been good. What I will say, is So what I will say is, I watched obviously your interview with Chucky, and a lot of the stuff I was like first or secondary witness to. So it's like, and I was watching it thinking, I hope these new young youths on YouTube ain't watching it thinking, yeah, all right. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking, I hope man know, like, it really was. So the
If
first
anything, I probably paid it down a little because you know,
100%.
You've seen
the
some
first
shit.
I knew, and I'll just like forget even having a conversation with you. First I knew was this guy had a Ferrari, a Harley Davidson, and you had till I ride, till I die, and till I bust on number plates. So I think I've missed the car.
Yeah.
I think I've missed
I've two cars.
So it was a Ferrari,
Bentley convertible.
Okay, cool.
Porsche Jeep, two Harleys, and then iced out car keys.
We're gonna get there because you think I ever forget that? I told man about that now. So look, all right. So obviously I heard the till I ride, till I die, till I bust. For me, inspirational, not just because of that, but it was Flyboy. Like, there wasn't a lot of, it wasn't a lot of fly. It was a lot of gentlemen and a lot of successful gentlemen around me. To see Flyboy was like, bro, we got a Diddy in the UK. And just to make this clear, like, and this is not even arse sucking, bro. It's like real shit. At this time, there was no social media. There was no Instagram. Not everyone had a friend. Everyone now's got a friend who's a baller. Everyone now's got a friend who goes libertine and does all of that stuff. At that time, it wasn't like that, bro. Yeah. So me hearing this stuff was mental. Then I heard a story about a man bust down his car keys. Before bust downs were even, like, this is way before,
it weren't even popular. It weren't even cool.
A man spent like, we're gonna forget what you spent, but a man bust down his car keys. Yeah. Like, what's going through your head when you done that one, bro?
So I was hanging out with some Arab dudes, because that was always me. I was always like,
that's mad. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Where can I go for inspiration? Because I never want to be the king in the pond.
100%.
It's not cool for me.
100%.
So I put myself deliberately around people that would find what I earn minuscule.
Yeah.
Minuscule.
Can we touch on what you was earning at the time?
Yeah, like 100 a month minimum.
So at that, and how old are you?
26. So
at that time, 26, 100 grand a month, like multiple cars, living a crazy life,
and houses.
What was maintaining for you at that stage? What do you
mean by that?
Like, so what was keeping you going? Because I feel like coming from environments where, which we come from, like, in it, like, for those who don't know, I know you're from London, just like anyone else, inner city, no privileged background, any way, shape or form. It's mad because I'm talking to you, like, obviously of knowing you, but we've got to remember, like, someone might look onto this for the first time and want to know so much more. Yeah, is my memory this? Is my memory that? So normal background, to be at that level, I think takes a lot to maintain. Forget get there. It takes a lot to maintain, especially when you're probably the main guy from our backgrounds in your environment like that. So for example, I saw you as like the first guy in my network from the hood that had done that stuff.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure on your back. That's like the Nipsey Hussle effect of being the guy in Crenshaw.
Yeah, I get it.
How did you maintain that? Like, how did you stay hungry, bro? Like,
I think the lifestyle does it, innit?
Whenever you could,
like, for example, like, I remember for 1 year I just surprised my missus and I flew her and 20 friends to Marbella. Took the whole hotel. Jet. Nah, not private that time. It was just a flight. Took the whole hotel.
Yeah, go ahead.
Took the whole hotel. Sisu first day, shut it down. All of her friends for her birthday. Then for actual birthday present, I had 2 cards, and I said, choose one of these cards for your birthday. One of them, I don't think she knows this yet. One of them was first class with her and 4 friends to Vegas, which I didn't want her to pick, and she didn't. And one of them was first class to Miami, which she did pick. Yeah. So it was a great holiday. And when you do that, and I wasn't doing it to be the bougie guy. That's like everyone. I think the reason why a lot of people respected me, so I wasn't like, hey, that was never me. Yeah. It was because I felt it wasn't to stunt. Never. Yeah. It was to bring memories, create memories for people. Yeah. So I think when I did that and I saw what it was doing for people, the kind of like the hope it gave people, the energy it gave people. I just felt like that had to become my lifestyle. I had to do that every single month. I had to do things like that every single month. And
so was that consistent for you? So like that level of earnings, was that consistent for you? And if so, for how long?
So yeah, the come up was like a year where I was earning under 10 for like 6 months. Then it jumped to like 30, 40. And then I just took a massive jump to like a 1. And that stayed there for like 3 years. Yeah. And then
which we're going to get to. Something else as well, because I'm thinking like, the benefit, the benefit of the audience is, what was the nature of work? Because I find that one thing I noticed about the younger generation, it's just always, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? Like, because like it can inspire, like, and you know what? I respect it.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you want to know the credibility, because we could be sitting there and you could have been moving boxes and it could seem like I'm glorifying it, and a man might sit there and think, he's moving boxes with it, I'm going to go do the same thing, do you know what I mean? So can we elaborate a bit further on what you do and then how it started going?
Yeah. So it was investment sales. His investment sales was just, it's just like being, I guess the technical term would be like a broker. Yeah. It'd be like a broker. It's just selling investment products to private individuals. Yeah. That is it. But I always say it's glorified sales. It's just sales. It's just big ticket. Like I always used to see these guys that sold IT. Like 100%. They used to do IT recruitment and they had all the whips, man. Yeah. They had all the whips, like Lambos and everything, because it's high ticket sales. Yeah. Same thing. So it's the same thing.
I used to look at like estate agents and think somewhat like the good ones. I used to think like I'd go on like viewings to view apartments and stuff, and I'd think you should work with. If you worked with us, you would earn because you've got the skill. Yeah, you've done So it's just literally like margins and all that kind of stuff.
100%.
So we're at that level, and I think for me personally, like I've experienced like top, bottom, I've experienced the ups and the downs of things, but I think the level of height and the level of drop that you must have felt to what you're about to go into, for me, for anyone of the faint-hearted, you'd be at the game. We wouldn't be sitting there having a conversation right now. You wouldn't be able to talk successfully, because right now you're still back on top, you're still living like we still got the AP and the Trist, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? We ain't gonna overlook those things. But yeah, like so what happened? How did what started making those L's? Like, what was the L? What was it?
Just simple. Businessmen that didn't really understand business as well.
Big point.
It's very simple. You know, it happens. Like if you look at any sort of real success businessman, go from Donald Trump to fucking anyone. Yeah. Anyone, they will take big L's. Yeah. And those L's will have a big ripple effect. And it did have a ripple effect. Yeah. It's just within the industry that I was in, it was very immediate. It's not like a slow decrease where you can get, I can see it coming. Yeah. I can see it. It's like a 2008 subprime mortgage crash.
I was thinking that, yeah.
It's like that type of thing, and it just disappears. And I think when you're in the position that I'm in, the word saving, I used to mock it. I used to mock it.
Saving, all right. I got like the thing is, the reason I'm gonna interject, because these are points that if I was sitting here on my own, I would want to cover as well. I used to do the same thing, that exact same thing. I think I didn't, not even so much mock it. I think for me, I saw it as like, for those who don't know, because there's a lot that people will learn via our conversation about me that they didn't know before as well. Yeah. From the same industry, same background, same kind of story. I mean, didn't spend 15 on the bus down Keys, but soon get there. But yeah, like, so for me, saving was like, I think I was in the mentality of, for me to earn this again, I've got to let it all out. I've got to spend. I've got to make myself uncomfortable. I've got to build up my lifestyle. So if I get a house that costs this much, a car that costs this much, a watch that costs this much, an outfit that costs this, all this stuff, we just go again. It's fine, because we're always going to make money. If we think positive, we're always going to make money. We keep saying it. And I think saving almost felt like me putting a negative thing out there. It almost felt like me affirming the rainy day, which now I've grown up, I realise is actually quite stupid and childish. But I felt like if you're telling me to save, you think I'm not always going to make this, I'm not doing that.
Definitely. Don't get me wrong, my view has changed, but I still hold a view
of that.
I'll tell you what it is. I don't, as such, I believe in having certain amounts of cash. Yeah. But not loads. I now believe in just seriously investing.
Yeah. Why? Break that down. So aside of the benefit of making from investment, I know there's a lot more logic for you.
Yeah, I just think that when it comes to investing, what happens, I said it to my brethren who's a footballer and he's making decent money. I said to him, look, at the end of the day, you're not going to play football forever. Yeah? You can go down the property route, and that is one route, and I respect bare people that do it, yeah? Or what you can do is you can, for 1 year, just go through 1 year of being experimental. The type of money you earn, you could afford to do 20 grand a month into 12 different investments and just sit back over a year and observe and learn from it. And I think that there's so many ways more to skin a cat. And having a residual income generating assets is just obvious.
Yeah.
Like why would you, if you're, and I think it's, when you've got, like with me, I've got children. Do you know what I mean? Not a child, children. Yeah. When you've got children, I think it's very, very irresponsible for you not to have things. So if you were to go, they're set. Do you know what I mean? So that's why, like, if you used to leave cash in the bank, unless you're talking about stacks, that will run out. Whereas if you leave investments that are income generating, they're cool. So that was my philosophy. It was like, okay, how do I now go towards that? And yeah, that's pretty much what I started to do. And I just think that, I think nothing wrong with saving, but I think that if you become the hoarder mentality, it's like I always say to my mum, who's a typical Nigerian woman who hoards. Like, we're doing a house at the moment, we have to dash so much of her shit. She was literally having panic attacks. It was jokes, man. But like when you take that mentality of I have to hoard, it's exactly as you say. It's always like I'm almost affirming, because that's what your thoughts are. What you get. You're almost affirming that something's going to come to you that needs that. So I believe in a certain amount of cash to just bare investments.
Yeah. So all right. So cool. So the L's started taking, because obviously number one, as you said, you weren't really thinking about saving. But what was because you was at a level now where you must have been. I know how I am, making 100 grand a month. There's other people that are benefiting from that as well.
Plenty.
And you know, one thing that I saw you say that proper got me was like, and this is a challenge that I went through, is that I feel like I built my lifestyle to a point where if anyone close to me who I valued would ask for something, I almost made it my duty. And especially like for me, and I love my mum to bits, and my mum, my sister, these are people that I put myself in a position, and I think at some points I had resentment, like they did it, but they didn't. I did it all myself. I put myself under a certain level of pressure to maintain things for them that they never asked for. Yeah. And then when it started getting a bit peak and I was still expected to maintain those things, I started getting resentment, which is not fair, because they never asked for these things. 100%. And then what I think is such a challenge for us as men is to turn around and say, well, it's actually mad right now. Like I even had this conversation with one of my boys recently, and he was like, well, he's an artist, and he was like, well, when I was popping, like I'd said this to my mom and I patterned this and I got this, and it's like, bro, I haven't been able to stop that. I'm like, so you're still doing it? I'm still doing it now, bro. And I had to say to him, it's so hard to do, but you have to sometimes save yourself to be able to save them ever again.
100%. Communication is key. Communication 100%. Is absolutely everything. But I think to touch on that point, like I still love the financial pressure of putting everyone on my back anyway. Same. I kind of love it. I love it. I love everybody to be like, Alpha's the guy, you've done that again. Do you know what I mean? I love it. I love it. I love it. Like I thrive in those situations. But one thing that I've changed my angle of thinking, because when you give people cash and people aren't ready for the cash, it's like when people win the lottery.
100%.
My mum was just going to church, Jehovah's Witness, just shelling. Just selling. Just selling out. No. Just selling out.
I should have went to your mum's church.
I'm telling you, bro, she was
Pastor would have been baby.
I'm telling you, you see people in new shoes, it's just...
Swear down. So you know what's mad? Not only did her church must have loved you as well,
oh, mate, everyone did. Everyone did. She was just shelling. Like, I retired her, which was my biggest accomplishment. Sick. My biggest accomplishment, without fail. But I took it past her lifestyle.
Yeah.
So, for example,
so you put in, go on.
Just because I think it's good to understand this. 100%. If somebody has a £1,000 lifestyle, let's say, and that's it, and they're comfortable, that's just what they are, yeah. But then you give them 3 bags. Yeah, they have to become 3 times the person to understand what to do with that dough.
Bro, that is such a gem, bro. Like, such a gem, because I literally, there's people that you can give them something, and I saw this the other day, I think on social media somewhere, you can give them something they're not ready for.
100%.
And then they will just continue to fumble that. And I'm not gonna lie, I think I was that person. Like I'll give you an example. One of my management said something to me early days, and it always stuck in me. Like I said, gems always do. And he said, at the time I wanted an Aston Martin, and he was like, you're not ready for an Aston Martin. And I was like, I'm not ready. Like, because I'm ready for Aston Martin. Like, it's the picture on my desk. Like, I made this amount. Like, I'm on smoke. Yeah. And he was like, you wouldn't be comfortable with people taking pictures of you in an Aston Martin. And at the time, I just thought, what are you on about, bro?
He's a G for saying that.
But you see, like, so many years later, like, having a bright orange S63 and having a lot of attention on my car and realising what comes with that,
100%.
I realised I wasn't ready for that then.
100%.
And because I wasn't ready for that then, is why it never happened.
100%.
And I remember he used to always say to me, the reason that hasn't come, anything, and now I've always applied that, like, if a goal that I want hasn't been reached, I'm just not ready for it.
100%.
Like, in any way, shape or form, or it would have been bang.
I'm gonna just touch on something right now because it's in the book that I'm writing. There's a law, yeah. I always say the universe doesn't work on morals; it works on laws. That's it, yeah. And there's a law called the law of now, yeah. And what that means is everything happens now. If you actually think of it, yeah. So whenever anything is ready, it's happening now. That's the fucking speed. Now, that's the only speed. It's not a year. It's not 5 years. It's now. Yeah. So when it's not happening now, the only fucking reason is you're not ready. That is it.
100%.
And when you can accept that,
100%.
when you can accept that, it takes off so much of the actual anxiety and stress.
100%. Because you stop beating yourself up thinking, why? And you just accept, like, bro, I'm not going to lie, like, it has made me so much less stressful about things. Because I just think, I'm just not ready for that yet. Like, for example, there's something I was going to ask you, like, the idea of having people around you, like, because this was a big challenge for me coming up, like, people around you that might not be any better than you at your craft, might not be any more motivated than you, but they're doing better than you.
Yeah.
When I say doing better than you, again, this is why we need to elaborate even on that, on the surface.
Yeah.
So they've got that car 2 years before you have.
Yeah,
it don't make sense to you because you taught them this or you taught them that. You must have had a challenge like that. Being the person you are, you must have faced that.
So the only thing that I can remember, and this was a good slap in my chops, man, it was great. I remember sitting down and speaking to one guy, and he earned a certain amount of money that I've never ever seen or heard of before.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, well done. The guy never looked me in the face, didn't look at me, did not pay any attention to me, like I was proper nothing. I went, it's not a lot of money, and just kept it moving. The slap, mate. I can still taste it now. It was a proper clap.
And is that someone you've done something for, just literally a brethren?
Just somebody who was in the industry,
okay,
who was a lot further than where I was. So that's the only way. But what it done inside of me was amazing. What was amazing, because I was like, okay, you want to son me, you're going to be my son. That's it, you're going to be my son. 100%. And literally, that is pretty much how it turned out. Like it turned out in a fashion that, not like he was my son, but it became like he valued me massively, because what I was doing was just too fucking important.
How did you, so during this L period now, how did you deal with, number one, obviously, communicating that pressure towards people like your mum who's balling out in church and other things like that?
I did exactly what you said. I didn't. I just stunted. And what I mean by that is I had a lot of watches. Like, you know, my collection was crazy. So I just shotted a lot of my fucking jewels. A lot
to keep it going?
Just to keep it going.
Do you think now that was the right thing?
That's a fucking good question. Okay, retrospectively, yes. But not in the way that I did it. I did it from fear. I always say, if you're going into a boxing match and you go to fight somebody, they're doing this, you're going to fuck them up. Yeah. If you go to fight somebody like Tyson, they're swinging at you. And I think that's how life should be taken. Like, you should go out swinging, always swinging. I think as soon as you're in defensive mode like that, naturally, what you're, again, saying to yourself is, I'm prepared to get hit. So the fashion that I did it in, like the mindset, I wish I didn't, because I think that's what led to, ultimately, me going into depression. That's what led to it, because I felt weak doing these steps. Whereas if I had the mindset like, yeah, fuck it, this is the positive thing I'm going to do, sell all of these, this is the plan I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to kick back. I didn't. I was just like, okay, I don't want no one to see that I can't sustain this lifestyle. Yeah. So what ends up happening is the watch that I bought only a couple of months ago for 30, okay, I'll accept 15. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And when you do those moves, you have to accept that you're a loser. Yeah. Like, you've lost in that position. Yeah, it's not like you bought the watch for 30 and sold it for 27, 28. Oh, that's all right, 10%. 15. Yeah. A man has literally gone, yeah, mate, take it or leave it.
I've done that, and I've never spoken about it, but I've done that before and felt so shit that I've told no one I've done it. Yeah. Like, it's just like, it's the one time you go to the jewelers on your own. Do you know what I mean? It's the one time you go on your own. Because all the other times you message with the man, like, yo, I'm going to find toilet today, what are we saying? That day, you go to the jewelers on your own, bro, and you leave on your own, and that's it, it's done, it's over.
Do you know the mad thing is, I remember this iconic time I had the chocolate Daytona. Sick, one of the sickest. mother of pearl chocolate,
Yeah.
with the mother of pearl, so all gold, mother of pearl face with diamonds. I loved the watch badly. I had an affinity to it, yeah. But I was desperate. A couple of days I had to pay people wages. I just kicked off a new business. I had to pay people wages. I was ringing around bare jewellers, and this guy was like, "Yeah, bring it in. If it's the one that I like, I'll offer you." And I was like, "What would you offer?" He wouldn't give me a price, so I knew what he was doing. Like, had me there, and he knew I was really desperate.
Yeah.
Took it in there. This is the watch that I paid 30 for. Yeah. Anyhow, he went 15. He goes, "But I'll go to the bank now and I'll transfer it to you." The skip he did to the bank, mate. The skip he did, and I followed behind him like little man.
You know what the thing is though? It's mad because a lot of people have been through this but won't speak on it.
I do it all the time.
Like, people have been through that and and that's why I think I loved that interview, because I was going through that similar kind of thing at the time, bro. Like, I had started Rap City, and Rap City started to get, like, we had started it with just some baller mindset, more so me than even my partner, because I was just killing it. I'm thinking, all right, cool. I'm going straight for the Yanni level. First step, I'm gonna just paint it all. I want the biggest garage. I don't care. I'm gonna get all the rappers. Like, in my head, it was just so easy, bro, because I'm thinking I've done so well in sales. I can do well in anything.
Transferable.
Yeah, like, I can do well in anything. And then it got to the point where it's like, raw. This business is harder than I thought. Yeah. I can't pick up a phone and sell. I need you lot to come and call me. Like, it's a mad thing. And then months have passed. You're paying rent that you don't need to pay. But why at the beginning didn't mean anything to me, because why would it? Because I was raking it in. I don't care. I'll pay that rent. When you slow down raking it in, you start to think, why am I paying this rent? And then it got to the point of where it's like, rah, this is actually a lot of pressure.
100%.
And now, when the pressure comes, it's like, who do you chat to about this?
Listen,
Like, that's how I felt at the time watching your interview. I thought, who do you chat? Because I'm the top of my food chain. Like, who do you chat to about that?
yeah. I mean, ultimately, that's why it's great to have mentors. But again, my mentor, Jim Rohn, he said something, he taught me something that is, I love it to this day. He said, you have to be able to gas yourself up the most, and you have to be able to critique yourself the most. And I've lived by it. Like, I live by it still to this day, to the point of, like, I gas myself, but I never want to be told how I flopped. I want to tell people how I flopped.
100%. Yeah. Same.
It goes back to this, innit? What I was talking about, defensive or offensive.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Defensive or offensive.
Because I can talk about it with the most pride now.
Yeah,
but
100%.
if he was talking to me at the time, that's why I probably ghosted, because I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear, like, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong.
But then that's that whole defense. This is what I mean. That's that whole defensive mindset. Like, if you look at anyone who has gained massive success, even down to your favorite heroes, you look at the Jeff Bezos, these people, like, the amount of businesses they have fucked is a joke.
But you know what's mad? I only discovered that when I took the L.
Really?
So, like, seeing your interview, I then come across Simon Cowell. I didn't know anything about Simon Cowell before that. And that just inspired me. I came across something, Will Smith, I think how many times he went for auditions. Just, you know, like, laws of attraction, like, I started to just attract all these men who had lost before. But it helped me, because I started to think, like, as I say, like, one of the most powerful things I got from your interview was, number one, because that interview made me confident to speak about the downscaling of Rap City and just the reason of going ghost and all that stuff. It, number one, made me realise people go through shit, and, like, even, like, fly guys go through shit and can come back and still be fly again. And number two, it was just the fact that you spoke about it with the same source that you'd speak about the come up. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you was just like, yes, I was making 100 grand, then it got mad, and I was selling watch, and then now I'm back to making like 100 grand, and I'm like, wow, I hear you. So how did you get out of that space? Because you mentioned depression, like, and it's mad you say that word, because I used to hate hearing the word. I used to think it was, I'll be real, like, it was mad cringy and cheesy to me. I hated hearing it. Until
I was exactly the same.
Until I looked back probably early this year, back in this year, and I realised I was depressed.
100%. So this is the thing, like, I think that there's a difference between being sad, and being depressed, and for me, because obviously my brother Benga, and he actually, I saw him go through that whole paranoid schizophrenia. We had to section him, do you know what I mean? Hold him down and section him. So I really realised how real this mental health is. That's it. 100%. So I really realised how real it was, because before I was just like when you say like nut, I'd use the word so loosely. Yeah, he's a fucking nutter. Do you know what I mean? And 100%. Do you know what I mean? You use it, fucking nutter. So and I associated to somebody like bouncing off the walls, licking their earlobes. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. 100%.
So I'd almost make a joke out of it, and I thought that is the only mental health. Not realising there's so many layers, so many different things that constitute to mental health. And what actually happened is the way I really realised that I was actually suffering with depression was, I was ashamed of who I am. I'm not being able to communicate. Yeah, and I don't want to get too deep, but if you look at like, what's the name of that girl that just committed suicide?
Oh,
What's her name, man? Caroline Flack.
Caroline Flack.
What's the signs? They don't want to communicate with people. Do you see what I mean? That is the telltale signs. And then another mad one, which a lot of people have told me since. Yeah, I was sleeping like literally on a mattress on the floor. You almost want to inflict pain to yourself. You almost your self-worth goes down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't until my little boy, bad boy, Phoenix, was just like, he came into the room and I was like, literally, I wasn't getting off the mattress. I was just spending time there, like just sleeping and just doing nothing. And he was just like, he looked at me and he asked me a question, and that literally changed my thinking. I think kids are marvelous, man, because they don't have filter.
They're innocent, yeah.
They're innocent. They don't have filter.
Is amazing.
It's incredible.
I always say, like, my thing is like to keep the kid like energy forever. Like, because a child will tell you they want to be an astronaut, they tell you they want to take over the world or be a president, and then you get to like 16 and you're like, you don't even want to say your goals publicly. You get to like 20 and you ask someone what they want to do. Like, I've sat there before and asked people what they want to do and they don't want to say it.
100%.
Like, and for me, I get both sides, because I've had conversations with people before that have explained why they don't want to say it, and I just think keep your goals to yourself, etc. But for me, I've always felt like it's a claim, and I feel like the claims worked for me so many times.
100%. I am is the most important word in the world.
And with what you follow it with.